From the eventchronicle.com. By Don Croft and Ken Adachi. Locklip, Phil Schneider, a government geologist and engineer with over 17 years of experience working on black projects, is undoubtedly one of the most important whistleblowers in modern history. In September 1995, Mr. Schneider gave a presentation at the Preparedness Expo in which he exposed the New World Order agenda and how it connects with extraterrestrials. During this speech, he presented physical evidence of alien metals and artifacts along with additional photographs to validate his claims. Less than 6 months after giving this presentation, he was found dead in his apartment with a piano wire wrapped around his neck in what most would classify a military-style execution. According to some close to the investigation, Mr. Schneider had been repeatedly and brutally tortured before being killed. Regardless, the authorities somehow ruled his death a suicide. It's best you know some basic facts before going into the scope of what is happening right under our feet. Mr. Schneider worked extensively on building deep underground military bases, better known as DUMBs. He claims that the information about aliens is kept well hidden from the public and that the U.S. military has known about the presence of aliens for a period of time dating back to 1909. He also asserted that more than $500 billion was being allocated every year to black projects dealing with alien matters. He further asserted that 28% of the U.S. gross national product was being spent on building underground bases. This black budget, as he referred to it, sidesteps Congress completely. There's little doubt that these projects are still continuing on to this day. Keep in mind that the following information relayed by Mr. Schneider was from 1995 and has more than likely progressed in a significant manner since that time. 1. In 1995 there were 131 active DUMBs in the U.S. and approximately 1,477 underground bases in the world. Each base cost an average of $17 to $19 billion, in 1995 money, and took 1 to 2 years to construct with the use of highly advanced methods of construction that included vitrifying and melting rock using lasers that reduced the rock to powder, and then they smoothed out the tunnels using boring machines. Mr. Schneider further claimed that these bases are massive and house thousands upon thousands of people. 2. Magneto-leviton trains connect all the DUMB bases within the United States in an enormous transport system capable of speeds of Mach 2 or higher. He claims there is a whole other world down there that is filled with both human and alien life forms. 3. Area 51 is actually a complex composed of 9 deep underground bases, and there are over 18,000 workers whose lives are highly regulated and entirely veiled in secrecy. 4. The United States government signed an agreement in 1954 with extraterrestrials granting them permission to experiment on humans and cattle in exchange for technology. This agreement, known as the Grenada Treaty, is a well-documented event. The original terms of this agreement stated that only a small amount of humans could be abducted, they had to be returned where they were found, and their memory of the event had to be wiped clean. The aliens were also supposed to supply a list of the humans they were taking to Majestic 12. However, it became clear after a few years that the aliens were taking far more humans than they originally agreed to. 5. Mr. Schneider alleges that there are 11 distinct alien races on Earth. 2 of these species are benevolent. 6. The New World Order and the alien agenda are one and the same. Mr. Schneider describes the alien agenda as the complete takeover of this planet, killing off 5/6 to 7/8 of the world's population by 2029. Obviously, an alien takeover would mean that a one-world government would be put into place and would, in all probability, be the end of freedom as we know it. 7. At least 9 races of alien beings view humans as a food source. They are not all cannibals. Instead, they use secretions from the glands of humans and animals for the mixtures of vitamins in their food, and some alien races can get high off of adrenaline. 8. 16 days before he gave the presentation, Mr. Schneider was shot in the shoulder by an FBI agent who wanted to kill him. Mr. Schneider shot and killed the agent in self-defense. In addition, he reported the incident to the FBI, who dismissed him and the entire incident. He claims that 11 previous attempts were made on his life since he started speaking out. He also claims that DIA agents tried to kidnap his daughter but were unsuccessful due to the heroic actions of his ex-wife. The way I see it, if half of what Mr. Schneider said is true, then as a nation, a society, a civilization, the human race needs to wake up, band together, and demand answers from our governments, our leaders, and other powers that be. We can no longer live in the bubble we call our lives. We must look outside ourselves and pay attention to what isn't being said or reported in mainstream media and read between the lines, do our own research and independent thinking to discover the truth because the truth is out there. Editor note: I've noticed news reports in the last few days of more wildfires in Denver and Tennessee, respectively. It's an odd time of year for wildfires, so I can't help but think about the information that was given to us about fires being set deliberately to smoke out those in some of the underground bunkers. Denver, Green Mountain wildfire in Lakewood and cause of fire on Green Mountain remains under investigation. Tennessee, Gatlinburg burns, wildfire sweeps through Tennessee. While there is no mention of known underground bases in Tennessee on the following list below, I did find 3 underground bases in Tennessee from another source. What I find interesting is that both of the fires in Denver and Tennessee are taking place on mountains. It could be nothing, but it's something I'm keeping my eye on, so I thought I would share. Chattanooga, Tennessee. Notes: an unusual cave discovery that has been described as an underground fairyland with a large subterranean waterfall and an underground lake beyond which the explorers, at the time, were unable to proceed. The stories of Ruby Falls Cave and the legends of passageways that were once accessible but are not blocked, which led to a large underground lake, etc. Also, the story of the strange disappearance of a geologist in Nick Ajack Cave, some 30 miles west of Chattanooga, and well over 6 miles long. Gallatin, Tennessee. Notes: on September 23, 1880 at about 3:30 in the afternoon, former David Lang dematerialized in front of 5 witnesses while walking across a field. Mrs. Lang ran and pounded the ground where he had vanished. 7 months later, Lang's children insisted that they had heard their father crying distantly from underneath the field. He seemed desperate and tortured, and was begging for help, until his voice faded away and was not heard again. Where he was last seen there was a circle of withered yellow grass 20 feet in diameter. Millington, Tennessee. Functions: Naval Support Activity Mid-South. Levels: unknown. Tunnels to: unknown. Notes: 21 miles north of Memphis. It is an enormous facility, covering thousands of acres. I have been told that there is a deep underground facility beneath this base. Educate yourself. Editor's note: Phil Schneider confirmed, at that time, that there existed a minimum of 2 underground bases in each state. Phil also mentioned that there were more than 1,450 dumb bases worldwide. In 2001, Stuart Swerdlow reported in his Los Angeles talk that there were 133 active dumb bases in America. Phil also revealed that 62 of those 133 dumb bases were being used as housing facilities for various alien groups that the government had made treaties and agreements with. The rest were being used by humans, military and civilians, for biological, chemical, and mind control development. Phil mentioned in his last lecture in Seattle, Washington, September 24, 1995, that he was publishing a book that would expose these government secrets and identify the location of every underground base in America, as he felt the American public were entitled to know what their government was doing with their money and keeping secret from them. When Phil was found murdered in Oregon in early January, 1996, all of his records, alien artifacts, journals, book manuscript, etc. were missing. I got this anonymously today in email. It's obviously the result of a whole lot of groundwork, so to speak, by a lot of people, perhaps including constitutional unorganized militia members in various states. This is quite timely, perhaps, as the new Earth pipes show some promise for neutralizing the predatory aspects of these facilities cheaply and efficiently. We normally locate underground bases by the smog fields that they produce above ground. This happens because nuclear generators produce dense deadly argon radiation, DOR, which forms smog by positive charged ionization. Smog is nothing but filth in colloidal suspension in the atmosphere. The various colors of smog are determined by what kind of filth is available. It's our feeling that the bases are being built as hidey holes for the cabal and this regime, which has effectively lost its psychological stranglehold on the world populace by now and is retreating. It would be unwise to allow them to just wait us out and take another swipe at humanity later on, and we know that neither predators nor their arcane weaponry can function well within a strong argon field, even underground, and slave labor is no doubt essential to running these facilities, so intense argon will incite them to do what you and I are doing, claiming our birthright of individual freedom and responsibility. The earth pipes are still in the experimental stage, but Carol and I intend to test them on the main underground base near Dulce, New Mexico, next month, and meanwhile our network is testing them on underground bases closer to our homes and pooling the empirical data. For example, Carol, Lazuchelli, and I planted 6 earth pipes on the base near Joseph, Oregon a couple of weeks ago, and Kelly and McGinty are perhaps on their way there to check the results today. Both of those fellows are energy sensitives who are reasonably unbiased, so their observations are very useful. The earth pipes may promise to be an excellent alternative for underground targets to the 3-ounce tower busters and the 12-ounce holy hand grenades, because a much smaller amount of argonite can get a much more dramatic result underground, thanks to the use of the copper pipe. It's similar to the way a cloud buster can draw indoor from the atmosphere for many miles around, and it may be another step toward what Dr. Grebennikov was able to achieve with resonant chambers alone, anti-gravity flight and time-space manipulation. The trend in spiritually resonant science is to do more and more with less and less. I don't think we'll be like the dolphins in this lifetime, but I do believe that they're the living standard for us in 3D. Having finally busted the underground base complex around Fallon, Nevada, last summer with Dotica Richard, we'll have a good test bed for busting a similar-sized major underground facility. It took several visits by several people to entirely do that complex, and we used about 30 gallons of argonite before every trace of DOR was absent from the atmosphere. I expect we could have done the entire thing in a day or two with a couple of gallons or less of argonite if it were used in the form of earth pipes, but we'll soon see if my hunch pans out. Don Croft. List of deep underground military bases, DUMBs. Listed by state. Arizona. 1. Fort Huachuca. Saucer base below, intelligence training above, mind control 2. 2. Gates Pass base. 3. Gila Mountain area, south of Interstate 8 and 30 east of Yuma, DUMB base. 4. Grand Wash Cliffs, on western edge of the cliffs at the head of Grapevine Wash. Must be reached via Highway 93 and then unpaved roads. DUMB base. 5. Green Valley. 6. Hualapai Mountains, east side of the mountain range, about 35 miles. Southeast of Kingman. 7. Rincon Mountain, north side. 8. Mount Lemon. 9. Page. 10. Safford. 11. Santa Catalina Mountains base. Arkansas. 12. In the vicinity of Hardy and Cherokee Village. Installation purpose not known. 13. Pine Bluff, area saucer base. California. 1429 Palms Marine Base, identified on military map as Airspace Area R2501N Saucer Base southeast of Ludlow. This is a U.S. alien research diagnostic facility and UFO base. 15. China Lake, Mind Control and Weapons Research. 16. Darwin, 4 miles due west of Darwin. 17. Deep Springs, Saucer Base. 18. Fort Irwin, Saucer Base. 19. Edwards Air Force Base, in the area where Diamond CR and the South Fork of the Yuba meet, there are 3 underground UFO bases. 20. George Air Force Base, Saucer Base. 21. Helendale, Lockheed Underground Facility, Technology for Secret Projects. There are 3 saucer bases here. 22. Los Angeles, on Highway 14 towards Edwards AFB after Palmdale, one turns off and after taking several streets to 170th Street, north on 170th Street to the Rosamond 170th intersection, the second and lower and better maintained dirt road will take you west, and if you take a right going north at the power lines and up to the hilltop you will see the top of an underground Northrop facility, technology for the elite's secret projects. This area was very active in the 1970s. Northrop's facility is near the Tehachapi Mountains. It has been reported to go down 42 levels. It is heavily involved with electronics and high aerospace research. 23. Mount Shasta. 24. Kern River, the hollowed-out mountain next to the hydroelectric facility at the Kern River project near Bakersfield reported saucer base. 25. Napa Valley located at Oakville Grade north of Napa, tunnels also connect the wineries north of Napa, used for white slavery and mind control. Has a saucer base. 26. Norton Air Force Base, saucer base. 27. Quincy, saucer base. 28. Near Palmdale, if one takes Palmdale Boulevard till 240th Street and goes to Avenue R8. The eastern limit of Avenue R8 is McDonnell Douglas facility called the UNO facility. One can see it better from the Three Sisters Hills to the south of the facility. Strange-shaped discs raise out of the ground on pylons. These attached discs glow and change color. It is involved in high aerospace technology. 29. Presidio, a FEMA DoD site for Region 9's regional office. 30. San Bernardino. 31. Santa Barbara County placed in the thick diatomite strata. 32. Santa Rosa, FEMA, Regional Center for West Coast. What FEMA is doing is mostly kept secret. This is listed as a communications antenna field, but is doing much more. 33. Sierra Nevada Mountains, very deep military base. 34. Tehachapi Ranch 4 saucer bases. Tehachapi Canyon has a new underground base which was finished in September 1995. This is the Unholy Six base of the Orions. 35. Trona, several miles northwest of Trona, directly under Argus Peak. This dome sits on China Lake's land, and may have been built in the 60s. Colorado. 36. Alamosa, reported saucer base. 37. Book Cliffs, near Rifle. 38. Boulder, the headquarters for EMC, a type of electromagnetic mind control that is being broadcast to modify the thinking of Americans, and to control slaves. 39. Colorado Springs, NORAD Canada and US, and FEMA, hundreds of people on staff, contains at least 4.5 cubic miles of underground caverns and 45 underground steel buildings. Many underground chambers are as large as 50 by 100. This complex tracks thousands of satellites, missiles, submarines, and UFOs. NORAD also controls many monarch slaves who have Alex, Janus, Alexis and time callback programming. NORAD installation has 1278 miles of road underground. 40. Fort Collins Base for Gray Aliens. 41. Grand Mesa Orion Saucer Base. 42. Montreux north of Paradox, in Paradox Valley. The site in Paradox Valley can be reached via Highway 90 via Nucla, Connecticut. 43. Northwest Connecticut, Florida. 44. Massive base reported saucer base. 45. Eglin AFB, Orion saucer base since 1978. Georgia. 46. Atlanta, FEMA Regional Center, which is appropriately placed since Atlanta is to become a capital within the NWO redrawing of boundaries. Atlanta is believed to have several underground installations in its area, one to the north at Kennesaw Mountain, Marietta, connected to Dobbins AFB, and one to the south of Atlanta at Forest Park. 47. Thomasville, FEMA, Regional Center. They train groups in search and destroy missions for when martial law is imposed. This is southwest Georgia in area of tunnels. Idaho. 48. Lower Goose Lake area in the general area of Oakley, Wackenhut of the Illuminati run a model prison for the NWO. The worst of the federal prisoners are placed in this underground prison, which has 7,100 cells, which are filled with about 2,700 federal inmates. A track runs through the middle of the Erie underground facility. Food and showers are on the tracks, and the men are allowed showers once a week. The minimum of lighting is used, and the men are beaten senseless if they talk at all. It sits 500 feet underground. 49. South central Idaho. Under the Snake River, lava flows between Twin Falls and Idaho Falls. Indiana. 50. Bedford and Lawrence area. Continued activity in large old mines indicates a possible government use of the large old quarries. Kansas. 51. Atchison, the DIPEF underground facility, which the government would run in an emergency. AT&T maintains an underground facility at Fairview. 52. Kinsley, an underground UFO base. Maryland. 53. Camp David, just north of the camp, is an underground facility important to the intelligence agencies. 54. Below Fort Meade, of the National Security Agency, 10 acres of the most sophisticated supercomputers that can be built, very large complex, massive surveillance of all the world's communications, including all transmissions in the U.S. and world of telephones, telegraph, telex, fax, radio, TV and microwave transmissions. 55. Olney, actually the facility is between Olney and Laytonsville, on Riggs Road, off of Route 108. Another underground facility may also exist in the area, FEMA and possibly NSA. The facility may be 10 levels deep, purpose unknown. 56. Suitland, classified archives of U.S. government. Stored here in underground levels. Vaults have extensive amounts of documents which are not indexed. Restricted access with a coded security card. High-level intelligence groups operate in the area also. Massachusetts. 57. Maynard, FEMA, Regional Center, Wackenhut is here too. Michigan. 58. Battle Creek, FEMA, Regional Center, activity secret, not validated. 59. Gwinn, near Gwinn is a large underground base which is a key base for sending signals. An AFB is also nearby. Under Lake Superior is an alien base with roads 5,000 feet deep. Missouri. 12 miles south of Lebanon, near the newly created town of Twin Bridges, reported saucer base. 61. In the Bat Dry Dead Man Howell cluster of caves, reported saucer base. 62. St. Francis Mountains, between St. Louis and New Madrid, Nebraska. 63. North Central Nebraska. 64. Red Willow Cove near McCook, Nevada. 65. Blue Diamond, reported saucer base. 66 to 68. Groom Lake, also known as Dreamland, Area 51, the area, the spot, Red Square, Sally Corridor, Watertown Strip. Run by the NWO along with demonic beings, the CIA is there and Wackenhut security. Two large underground facilities close to but separate from Groom Lake but controlled by the demonic beings are Papoose Range and Cockeyed Ridge, S4, underground bases. Purpose is the testing of various UFOs and other secret aircraft like the Aurora and Stealth. Also biological work is done, including the biological raising of small greys. Many levels have been built in these three complexes, and a 7-mile-long runway, which is actually 39 miles, has been built over Groom Lake, a dry lake. There is an S2, an S4, an S6, and an S66 underground installations. S66 is the most secret and it has 29 levels and is 11,300 feet deep. 69. Quartzite Mountain SE of Tonopah, reported saucer base. 70. Tonopah, Air Force, CIA. Deals with secret aircraft. New Hampshire. 71 to 73. There may be as many as 3 underground installations in New Hampshire's hills, according to reports. New Jersey. 74. Picatinny Arsenal, saucer base, 1/4 cubic mile large and very deep underground. New Mexico. The state of New Mexico and Colorado have been used for the construction of a series of underground bases. All the rest of the states have too. The primary underground facilities in New Mexico consist of 3 enormous underground bases in the Dulce area, an area I spent several days investigating in 1993. The White Sands Alamogordo area, which has 3 underground bases. Dattle and Pie Town, which have 2 more underground bases. Carlsbad Cavern, which had underground activity, which is reported discontinued, and another base to east of Carlsbad. The Los Alamos area underground facility. The Taos area underground facility. The New Mexico area has basically 4 underground system out. One goes to the Four Corners area and then to Groom Lake, Area 51. One goes north toward Delta, and Colorado Springs. The Taos facilities goes north approximately along Interstate 25 and eventually ties in NORAD. The southern bases connect to Texas and Mexico. The Los Alamos facility dates at least back to 1940. One can only imagine what has been built with 1/2 century of labor on this underground system. Visitors to the deeper levels report humans kept in glass cylinders, plus many other strange things. I have had the opportunity to debrief some people who have been in the lower reaches of some of these facilities. There are special badges, special uniforms, tube elevators, etc., which for lack of time I will not describe. 75. Angel Peak reported saucer base. Carlsbad Cavern area, now destroyed, old relics of saucer base left. 76 to 78. Dulce, south of Dulce, in the area of the Jicarilla Indian Reservation, another facility is east of the Dulce facility a number of miles. This is run directly by Illuminati with Army and Air Force help. CIA also conduct experiments at the center. The size of the installation is huge, requiring small shuttle trains, and has 7 levels according to witnesses. Serves as a UFO base, biological experiments, production center for small gray drones. Wackenhut provides some of the security on the ground. 79. Kirtland AFB, Sandia National Lab. 80. Manzano Mountain, near Albuquerque, known as the Kirtland Munitions Storage Complex, Air Force, 3,000-acre base within the Kirtland AFB Sandia National Labs complex, guarded by 4 lethal rings of fences, use unknown, suspected UFO base. A new 285,000 square foot bunker is being built near Manzano Base. 81. Pie Town, UFO base. 82. Sandia Mountains northeast of Albuquerque reported saucer base. 83 to the north of Taos Pueblo. 84. White Sands, major hub for research, tied in with Dulce and NORAD, HO for NASA military shuttle flights, Radiation Research Center and Mind Control. New York. 85. Adirondack Mountains, near Elizabethtown. 86. New York metro area. 87. Plattsburgh, near Canada and St. Albans, AFB, 2 saucer bases in this area. Oklahoma. 88. Ada, underground saucer base. This base does human cloning, and it is FEMA's most sensitive base. 89. Ashland Naval Ammunition Depot, reported saucer base. Oregon. 90. Bull Run, north side of Bull Run Reservoir area near Mount Hood, and very close to Larch Mountain and south of Benson State Park of the Columbia Gorge. 91. Coos Bay area has had 3 separate but coordinating underground facilities built for UFOs. The facility farthest east, about 20 miles inland in the wilderness near Highway 42, has been shut down. It is now an old abandoned facility well camouflaged. The coast facility is probably still operational. 92. Klamath Falls, since September 95. This has been a base for a number of NWO groups including the Air National Guard, FEMA, CIA, FBI, Spetsnaz, and Page. Mozap Training Base. An underground concentration camp exists here. Pennsylvania. 93. Blue Ridge Summit, near Fort Ritchie, known as Raven Rock or Site R, Army, Major Electronic Nerve Center, 650 feet below surface with about 350 staff and over a 716-acre area. Possibly connected via tunnel to Camp David. The Nod installation is involved with psychic, demonic, and satellite control over slaves. This underground complex is to allow the government of the United States to escape a nuclear attack. The enormous complex radiates under Washington, D.C. and connects with many other sites. The tunnel system is used to move some of the mind control sex slaves. The walls and ceilings of the tunnels are ceramic tile with fluorescent lighting recessed into the ceilings. Texas. 94. Fort Hood, home of some Delta mind-controlled soldiers and a reported saucer base. 95. Denton, FEMA, Regional Center, Activity Secret. 96. Red River Arsenal, reported saucer base. Utah. In Utah, the Kennecott Copper Company has been connected to the Illuminati and the KKK. These connections have been exposed in other writings by this author. Kennecott's mine, reported to be owned by the World Bank, in the Salt Lake City area is serviced by Union Pacific, which is reported connected to the Mormon Church. The mine is receiving a heavy volume of big trucks after 11 p.m., for instance, in a normal night over 6 dozen large trucks with 2 trailers each rolling into the mine. In other words, it appears that the heavy train and tractor-trailer activity indicates something besides mining. Virginia. 97. Bluemont, Mount Weather Base, Federal Preparedness Agency and FEMA, small city underground, top secret, staff of several hundred, does secret work for FEMA and contains a complete secret government with the various agencies and cabinet-level ranking administrators that keep their positions for several administrations and help run the United States. 98. Culpeper, about 2 miles east of Culpeper off of Route 3, called Mount Pony, Illuminati Federal Reserve, 140,000 square foot. Includes a facility for the storage for corpses, monitors all major financial transactions in the U.S. by means of the Fedwire, a modern electronic system. 99. Pentagon, Arlington. 100. Warrington Training Center 2 sites, one on Route 802 and the other on Bear Wallow Road, on View Tree Mountain. One is Station A, the other Station B. Army purpose unknown. Washington. 101. Bothell, FEMA, Regional Center, Activity Unknown. Editor note, this particular FEMA center is quite close to where I live. I parked across the street one day to have a look. It made me a little nervous because there are armed guards stationed at the gate, so I didn't stay for long. I didn't want anyone coming out and questioning me. Interesting to note is that this particular FEMA center was home to a Nike missile base during the Cold War. All the locals in the area over the age of 40 are aware of this fact, so I know they have underground facilities. What's odd about this particular base is that the massive complex sits right in the middle of a residential neighborhood. Bothell's Nike Hill, home to regional FEMA headquarters. The steep hill west of Bothell's Canyon Park, that 228th Street Southeast traverses, is known as Nike Hill. Most probably think it's because it's a grueling run for anyone trying to get into shape. But the site at the top of the hill, where the headquarters of the Federal Emergency Management Agency Region X sit behind a chain-link fence and manned security gate, was once a Nike missile site during the height of the Cold War. The site was active from 1957 to early 1963, and was eventually decommissioned in 1979 and offered for free to FEMA to set up its regional office. What looks like an unimposing collection of one-story buildings is in fact a multiple-story underground complex where about 170 people work year-round preparing for and mitigating disasters in Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Alaska. While these states are Region X's priority, staff is on call to respond to any emergency nationwide. Washington, D.C. 102. White House, the secret not underground installation which is connected to the intelligence groups like NSA and the CIA as well as many other nefarious groups, lays under the White House with tunnels connecting this not installation with the House of the Temple. The Supreme Council of the 33 Degrees of the Scottish Rites House of the Temple has a 14 by 25 room in it with 13 chairs where the Illuminati's Grand Druid Council meet. The not deep underground installation has numerous levels to it. One eyewitness went to level 17, via an elevator, and stated that he believes that deeper levels exist. West Virginia. 103. Sugar Grove, the Navy's Strategic Intelligence Services Microwave Communications. 104. White Sulphur Springs, under the Greenbrier Hotel, a mini-city large enough for 800 people equipped with its own crematorium. If there are any other purposes other than listening to U.S. microwave communication, it is unknown by this author. Stay aware and take care. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe for more thought-provoking content, and give us a thumbs up if you liked the video. Your support is greatly appreciated.